Yeah, I think our practice, not that I beat Leo, but I think our practice paid off.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like very close games. He played Marv, but it's like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
same thing pretty much. For now, I don't plan on having a secondary, but down the road, possibly. I think of the top characters besides Inkling, the character I have the most fun with would probably be PT, but I don't like Charizard that much. And I'm not sure if PT would be like that amazing as a secondary. It feels more like a character. If you play them, you should main them. Ooh.
That's safe.
Ganondorf, he actually won 3-0 both in winners and our first set and second set of grands face roll. That's crazy. I actually did a set review, or 2 sets technically, of face roll Mewtwo King. It's gonna be on the YouTube channel today. No.
Oh. No.
No! Sakurai.
Oh.
No! Sakurai, why? Why? It's a meme. It's a meme that 7 out of my 11 brothers main Sheik. I have 10 siblings, first of all, and even then, it's more girls than boys.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not sure, but it sounds funny, partly because 7-11, but yeah, it's not the case. So yeah, we are 11 kids, but that means that I have 10 siblings, and I have 4 brothers and 6 sisters. Since it was so many characters. For the time. Now, Brawl's character select screen looks small in comparison to Ultimate, but... Ooh, that's good. But I mean, it's probably hard to like, find a perfect middle ground.
Oh. Okay.
I wouldn't say parry's impractical on multi-hits. Some multi-hits, it's for sure not impractical. And even on the hard ones, I'm not sure how impractical it is. It's just like, it might not be the first thing a lot of people try to, you know, work on. Because, like, don't get me wrong, like, learning everything that can be used is still, like, useful. But some stuff is, like, much more important to learn and get good at and will actually, like, change much more of, like, your results. Like, fundamental skills rather than, like, oh, I can do this specific tech that might help me, like, in 1 match out of, like, 5. Like, it was some clip recently with, like, Nairo, for example, against Mr. E, and he parried, like, all the side Bs and then got the kill for it. So that's, like, one example. I wouldn't call that, like, impractical by any means. Oh, wait. Yeah, I agree, Smack. I would say that a lot of matchups in Melee are more complex, but it's much less of them. So it's like, a lot of the skill is like similar, but it's still quite different. In Ultimate, it's a lot about becoming like pretty good at a lot of matchups. In Melee, it's more totally master less matchups. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not like a negative thing to like totally master like the Joker matchup or Teach matchup or whatever. But with so many characters, you can't spend like 1,000 hours on the Joker matchup. It's not good for a tournament setting, you know? Because it's like so many other characters you need to learn. So you have to divide your time more. So yeah, it is two different types of skill, even though similarities are there. Well, the thing is, why PM never overtook Melee or Smash 4 when that came out, partly issues with Nintendo, so like you couldn't stream the game. Like it was huge issues with streaming the game on Twitch. And even without that, even if we hypothetically say that would never happen, it's still more of like a ceiling to how big a game like that can get, since it's not like an official game. But I mean, PM in its peak was quite big. Like PM in 2014, after like Brawl pretty much died, and before 4 came out, PM was doing really good. And it still does have like relatively large tournaments. They are just not that common. Ooh, spicy. Yeah, I mean, PM was like, they were trying to make a Melee-esque game. So of course, like, all the tech skill and like stuff transferred over. As someone that played mainly Melee and then also played PM, the trickiest part was basically just like learning all the Brawl characters that didn't exist. The Melee characters, for the most part, were very similar. So yeah, I was mainly like just learning the matchups. It was like some other stuff too that you had to get used to. Like RAR doesn't exist in Melee, for example. So utilize stuff like that was important too, of course. And it was still like a lot of PM tournaments. I was fighting a character for the first time. Adapting to matchups like on the fly. Like, oh, I've never played against this character. I don't know what his combos looks like. I don't know, like, oh, if this quote-unquote combo throw is a DI mix-up, and if I use DI correctly, I get out. I literally had to learn like that on the fly. And I still always made minimum top 8. And won like 90% of the tournaments I entered, pretty much. I feel like most people that did like continue with the game and play the game seriously was a lot of like former Brawl players that either were waiting for 4 to come out or just wanted like entirely a new game. So eventually it was like a lot of people that played a lot of Brawl that, you know, started doing very good in the game. But early on you saw like me, Mewtwo King, Professor Pro, and then Zero, like, he was primarily a Brawl player, but that year he played a lot of Melee too. Oh yeah, Mango. What the fuck is Jokenpeg? That's a classic tweet. The city of DreamHack is called Jönköping. And for some reason, when Hugs and Mango were going to DreamHack winter 2015, they thought the DreamHack was in Stockholm. And Mango tweeted at Leffen, since Mango arrived in Stockholm, and he was like, oh, Leffen, you want to like drink? And Leffen was like, nah, sorry, I'm already in Jönköping. And he was like, what the fuck is Jokenpeg? And then in Sweden, Hugs and Mango realize that DreamHack is like 4 hours away from where they are. And then they complained, at least Hugs did, I'm not sure if Mango did this, but at least Hugs was like, wait, why is it 4 hours away? And it's like, it's the TO's fault and stuff. It's like, it's been in this city for like probably a decade and a half. Like, you did not look this up. This is your fault, no one else's. Oh my god. Everyone else of the Americans, from what I remember, like, went to the right place. Like, they did fly to Gothenburg or Stockholm, but they knew that they had to travel to Jönköping. But, yeah, Mango had no clue what Jokenpeg was. And honestly, I don't either. Honestly, I'm not really sure. Bleed. Back in the day, like, my first GameCube controller, that was like only mine, because like when we bought GameCube when it was new, me and my brothers, like we shared like the controllers and stuff. But then when we started, like shortly before we started going to Melee tournaments, we had like, oh, this is my controller and this is mine. And the Christmas 2004, which was like 2 months before my first tournament, slightly less, I got my first own GameCube controller, and I used that one from late 2004 all the way to like late 2009. So at Genesis 1, I used the same controller I got like pretty much 5 years prior. That's the only controller I've used that long. Then I started using controllers for like maybe 1 to 2 years, and then eventually I started swapping every 2 months. But to be fair, Melee have like very poor coding when it comes to dashing backwards, and some controllers are very bad at it, and even the controllers that are good at it, they get very bad at it quickly. So yeah, I had to swap every 2-3 months. Yeah, now Melee I would say overall like have gotten worse. Not only like me not playing any longer, but Android was like forced for a longer break, and then at least the Gothenburg scene, a lot of the people that were like active a year or two ago are not really active these days, and it's not really been enough to fill the shoes. Like, even though they might like beat those players like head to head now, due to them being like rusty and stuff, you still have to take into account that it's like years later. So like, even if you beat someone that was like a certain level like 3 or 4 years ago, if you only like are like slightly better than they were at their peak, you're still relatively speaking worse for the time, if that makes sense. Europe as a whole for Melee is like weaker for sure. I think Europe overall was probably at its strongest around like 2010-11.